Every game publisher under the sun is going for live service games. I mean, Call of Duty transitioned from its season pass model to its now live service model with Call of Duty Cold War. And even now, Ubisoft are gonna do the exact same thing with their most favoured franchise, the Assassin's Creed franchise. Assassin's Creed going live service for me is like hearing nails on a chalkboard. It's just really something that I don't think really fits the franchise. And live service games are everywhere nowadays, and I really did think it would have been a phase or something that would have just passed and just goes, but it didn't. The most recent Assassin's Creed Valhalla, has gone live service with its second year of content on the way, and the rumours and leaks of the next Assassin's Creed Infinity, are sparking up. This will allegedly be the first full-fledged live service Assassin's Creed, which will span multiple different settings and time periods, and also have multiple different stories from those respective time periods. And if you don't like the idea of Assassin's Creed going live service and you say that it's going to fail, I feel as though obviously it's going to be a success considering that the game is allegedly going to be free to play. But I don't think that this is going to come without struggle, as Ubisoft Montreal and Quebec will be working together to create Assassin's Creed Infinity. Quebec, however, will be taking charge over the project. And so Ubisoft are going through a different structural change to how they develop Assassin's Creed as a series. No longer will it be just one developer working on one game at a time. Instead, we're going to have two studios working on a live service iteration of Ubisoft's most favoured franchise. And so I really think it will be interesting to see how it plays out, but obviously at the moment we are just on thin ice and we haven't got really much to grab onto at the moment, so we'll just have to wait and see until the game is fully unveiled. And with Assassin's Creed Infinity, it's not just going to be that the game will be developed, created, and then just put out for everyone to play, and that's it. No, instead, they will keep developing the game over many months and years as well. It's called Assassin's Creed Infinity after all. And so in the time after the game is released, Ubisoft will keep adding multiple settings and hopefully new storylines to the game, which sounds very exciting. And with the rumours of Assassin's Creed Infinity, many like Jason Schreier are comparing it to perhaps Fortnite or even Grand Theft Auto 5, where the games have evolved over the years since they have been released. And initially that may sound scary to hear Fortnite in comparison to Assassin's Creed, but I think it could be a smart move for Ubisoft. As instead of just creating new fully fledged games every year or so, they can add just small portions or different locations from already existing games into Assassin's Creed Infinity, and therefore we could potentially return to previous locations from other Assassin's Creed, such as Israel, Italy, Paris, Egypt, or even London. The possibilities are literally endless. And having a game with all of these settings is really ideal for me. Personally, I always go back and re-download one Assassin's Creed or the other just to purely play in that world for perhaps 10 or 20 minutes, and then I never end up actually returning to that game for months. And so I really think it would be a smart move to have all of these different locales in one game, and for me it would just make sure that I had more space on my hard drive. Just saying. Having content spanned out after months and years after the game's release is a smart move, as with Assassin's Creed Origins, we had 1 year of post-launch content. With Assassin's Creed Odyssey, we had so much more content than Assassin's Creed Origins, and with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, we've even got our second year of post-launch content on the way. And so it would only be a logical conclusion that Ubisoft would want to make one game that would hold all of this content. And this would be a game that would last for many years as they keep developing on it and adding new features. Now, according to Jason Schreier, the game Assassin's Creed Infinity, obviously, is about 3 years away. So we have a few more Assassin's Creeds, hopefully, before Assassin's Creed goes fully live service, and who knows if it will ever return to just being a single-player narrative-driven game. And that's the part of Assassin's Creed Infinity that is slightly confusing me, in the sense that the game is going to be a live service, so hopefully multiplayer is going to be incorporated into the game, but depending on how they do that could really be the deciding factor on whether people like Assassin's Creed Infinity or whether they dislike it. Personally, my favourite iteration of multiplayer in the Assassin's Creed series has to be Assassin's Creed Unity. Being able to traverse the open world with your friends or just random players, and being able to then do missions with your friends is one of the main reasons why I personally keep going back to Assassin's Creed Unity over other entries in the series that incorporated multiplayer like Black Flag, which had more of a co-op deathmatch kind of scenario. And at the moment, with the lack of details we have on Assassin's Creed Infinity, I would literally be grabbing at thin air. With the incorporation of this live service aspect of Assassin's Creed, and having multiplayer maybe being a factor in play, means that there could be a chance that the single player content is lessened in favour of the multiplayer content, and that's really something that I don't want to see. Personally, I really love the lore of Assassin's Creed. I love playing every single entry, and it would be such a shame if Ubisoft decided to minimise the single player content and the lore of the games in favour of just multiplayer content that's far more replayable for a wider audience. Like, I'd love multiplayer to be a factor in Assassin's Creed Infinity, but I wouldn't want it to take anything away from single player content. And that's where I think that the community would be divided. I'd certainly think that half of the community would love much more single player content, and others would much prefer multiplayer content that they can play with their friends. But unfortunately, we're gonna have to wait until at least 2024 before we hear any more details about Assassin's Creed Infinity. Well, official details from Ubisoft anyway. One other thing that I would like to note on before ending this video is parkour. I'm just curious to how the parkour system is going to work. For instance, are we going to get a newly refined parkour system in comparison to Valhalla, Odyssey and Origins, which certainly stripped back the mechanics from previous games? Because if this Assassin's Creed game is going to last for many years, surely the parkour system must be an integral part of the game, and certainly must be more engaging than what we've seen in the past 3 entries. For instance, Watch Dogs 2 had way better parkour than the Assassin's Creeds we've had in the past 3 years. And parkour was such an integral part of the early Assassin's Creeds, I'd say really up until about Assassin's Creed Unity was the last game with the best parkour. And then from Syndicate onwards, they slowly stripped back mechanics in favour of making the game more RPG friendly. And I'm just wondering, if we return to somewhere like Israel or Italy, will we be seeing the original parkour system or something similar to it, or will it just be one universal parkour system that will be used across every location and perhaps expanded upon over time? At the moment, we are not too sure because there are so many little things that we just can't find out at the moment, as it's literally just been leaked. But for the moment, that's all I have to say on Assassin's Creed Infinity, and hopefully what we can see and my idealistic version of Assassin's Creed Infinity in 2024. But let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn the notification bell on so you don't miss another video from me. So thank you, and goodbye.